to abortion, reproductive rights. If you were in the Senate, would you either vote to make abortion codified in the U.S. Constitution, or would you vote for a ban, or would you find somewhere in the middle? Do you think federal officials, federal government at this point should be involved in this issue at all?
I would codify Roe.
Okay.
It is absolutely abhorrent that my 15-month-old daughter has less rights and control of her body than her mother and then her grandma. The fact that we have women that are now going to sepsis just so they could get a life-saving abortion. We have women that are traveling with their daughters that are victims of rape out of state so they could get an abortion. A 10-year-old baby girl, victim of incest, had to leave her home state and the comfort of her family to get an abortion. And the reason we need to codify that is because people like Kari Lake are the ones that make this a dangerous situation. This is a person who only 2 years ago, actually less than 2 years ago, said the 1864 territorial law, a law that said if you were an abortion provider, it was a mandatory 2-year sentence, and it had no exceptions for rape or incest, was a great law. She said it was a great law. She said she was thrilled when Roe was overturned. And then when she was disappointed to find out that the 1864 law, again, the one that had no exceptions for rape or incest, was not going to get enforced, she said, well, I hope the sheriffs will do their jobs. Can you imagine?
It's not true.
We have it on tape. These are all your words on tape. Can you imagine Sheriff Joe Arpaio enforcing abortion laws? This is who Kari Lake is. She has told us what she would do. She said it. She said she was thrilled when Roe was overturned. And so do we want politicians like Kari Lake to be involved in these very, very difficult decisions when they should be left to the woman, to the doctor, and the family?
Okay. Mrs. Lake, you have 2 minutes.
It should be left to the states. I agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She said this should be a decision left to the states. Everyone knew it was unconstitutional. And Arizona, and I want to speak to the women of Arizona. I'm the only woman on this stage right now. I don't think I'm standing next to a woman. And so I understand how difficult these choices may be. And we have the choice as Arizonans to decide what our abortion law will be. It's going to be up to us, and we're going to decide in November when we go and cast our ballot. And Ruben Gallego wants to take that choice away from us. He wants to take it back to the federal government in some back room with Chuck Schumer and decide what our abortion law will be here in Arizona. It's going to be up to us. I want us to have that choice, and whatever the law ends up being, whatever our choice ends up being, I will respect. I come from a large family. I'm the youngest of 9, and we had 8 girls, so I know a lot about women. I have a daughter myself, and I want to make sure that we have the choice to decide what our abortion law is here in Arizona. He knows, and Steve, you know this as well, we're running for federal office. This isn't going to be decided in the Senate. This is not. And I will tell you this, I will never pass a federal abortion ban, nor will I approve or vote for federal tax dollars being used for abortion. But here's what I will do, because I'm a mother and I care deeply about women. And because things have gotten so desperate in this country, more and more people are choosing to have an abortion because they can't afford to live, let alone take care of a baby. I don't want any woman out there to make that choice because she can't afford to live because of the votes that people like Ruben Gallego have made that have made our economy practically collapse. It's on life support right now. So I want to go to the U.S. Senate and pass the most pro-family legislation. I want to make sure that UVF is protected. I have many friends who are here. They're my friends today because of UVF. And I have many of my friends who have had children and experienced the joy of motherhood and parenthood because of UVF. This is sad because Ruben Gallego doesn't really care about women's rights. When it comes to our women, our girls who are athletes, he wants us to have to compete against men, biological men.
To follow up, you said that you would not support a federal ban. Do you stand by that if Proposition 139 here in Arizona that would override our state ban, would you still not pursue a federal ban?
First of all, we don't have a state ban. We have a 15-week abortion law that was passed by both Democrats and Republicans, signed into law by both Hobbs and Governor Ducey. And so we don't have an abortion ban. But I will not pass a federal abortion ban in the United States Senate. Ruben Gallego wants to take the choice away from us. He doesn't really care about women's rights. If he cared about women's rights, first of all, I'm astounded that he actually knows the difference between a woman and a man, because I thought there were, 147 different genders. I do care about women's rights. I come from a family of women, and I have a daughter of my own and many nieces and nephews. And I care about Lake and Riley's right to exist and live and be safe. But his votes have caused it to where people are pouring across our border, dangerous people, taking away the lives of women. I care about the ability for our daughters to be able to participate in athletics. He doesn't want that. And he doesn't care about your First Amendment right to the women out there who might disagree with him politically. He wants to censor you. So let's talk about women's rights. Women care about a lot of different issues, Ruben. I know you spent, $40 million on attack ads regarding abortion. Think of how many lives could have been saved and how many women could have been helped with $40 million. And think about what we could have done to help make our country a better place with all those attack ads.
Mr. Gallego,
Yes.
I'm going to give you a minute to respond, and I
Thank
also
you.
want you to clarify, because you said you would vote to uphold Roe on a federal level. So that means that states can only intervene in the third trimester.
That's correct. We'd go back to what were the protections we had for the last 50 years on Roe. Now, Kari Lake also, I think, misspoke, to give her credit, where she said that the 15-week ban is good, and it's not a ban. There's also, within that current law, no exceptions for incest and rape. So again, we're going back to what she originally was saying not too long ago, when she said this very restrictive law that had no exceptions for rape or incest, that would have jailed providers, was a great law. Someone that was willing to look at a mother and say, I know your daughter was raped, but she does not have a right to an abortion. She was willing to say that just 2 years ago. And now we're going to trust her? We're going to trust her now? I mean, this is the same person that's still lying about winning the 2022 election. And yet we're going to trust her. She's failed the basic test of honesty. Why would we trust her with our daughters?
Mr. Gallego, Mrs.
Can I
Lake, I'm going
respond to
to
that
ask
really
you
quickly?
specifically. I want to ask
Can
you
I just
about
respond real quickly to
30
what he
seconds.
said? He acts like he cares about us. I want to speak to the women out there, but when you look at his character and his background, he has been harassing women and being disparaging toward women from the very beginning. When he worked at City Hall, he had a complaint about a hostile work environment and being hostile toward women. He went over to the legislature. He had a sexual harassment filed against him in the legislature. People go crying out of his office. This is a man who is putting on his Extreme Makeover Act, and what you see behind the scenes is not somebody who cares about
Mrs.
women.
Lake, we want to get some specifics for voters,
Sure.
because you did mention that you have a plan to support those catch services. So things like state foster and adoptive services, mental health services for women in postpartum care. What is your plan to support those services?
I'm so
1
glad
minute,
you
please.
mentioned that, because that gets mentioned so infrequently in this discussion. You talked about we've talked about abortion, but we haven't talked about adoption. And there's so many families out there who would love to adopt a child. I just saw a statistic and it broke my heart. It said that 60% of women who have an abortion would have chosen not to have one if they knew there was financial help out there or emotional help. And so if we are just offering a little bit of help to women, they will choose to have that baby. And so I want to make sure that those choices are out there. And a lot of these you mentioned are state programs, so that would be done at the state level. But anything we can do in the federal government to assist in that, we need bigger families. We need families out there. Our birth rate is dropping to a precipitous level, actually dangerous. And we can't just import new populations. We want to have families growing. And so I want to make sure we've got child tax credit, we have support. You know, I just believe deeply in how beautiful and wonderful families are, coming from a big family myself.
Thank you.
We didn't have much, but we had love, and a big family is a really special thing. So I want to make sure that women have
Lake.
that
And
ability.
Mr. Gallego, 1 minute. Would you try to work in something on a federal level to provide better services for families who are trying to afford their children, and if any of the stricter state abortion bans are upheld?
Well, certainly we
1
should
minute.
make sure we continue with some of the great work we did with the child tax credit. That brought childhood poverty down by 60%, which, by the way, Kari Lake was against when the bill was on the floor. We should also move into child care. Right now, child care is more expensive than sending your kid to ASU. So these are the things that we should be doing as often as we can to make sure that we're making every day a little better. I'd like to also just to point out that there was just a lot of personal hits that were just thrown there, and we won't go through every lie, but
I would actually be interested in doing that because I'm curious why you have an intern fired.
the current
Why did
state
you have an
representative
intern fired?
The state representative
she
actually
complained about being harassed.
that she is talking about actually sent her an email asking her to stop because what she claims happened did not happen. We're actually friends, and she's supporting us. She's supporting this campaign. Number two, this is a trend you're going to see with Kari Lake. Whenever she doesn't have an answer, she just goes for a personal attack because she has no good answer on abortion. She will ban abortions. She was willing to tell a mom that your daughter cannot have an abortion even if she was raped
Okay.
just 2 years ago.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the economy because